Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Doing a second video tonight on the game just because normally on road games I don't get I usually just come on here and riff on the game. But obviously there was big news tonight as Nikola Jovic suffered a broken hand and was just listening to some of the comments post-game. He said it happened somewhere in the first quarter. He didn't want to come out. He wasn't surprised by what had happened, but he saw that it was swelling up pretty quickly, and it apparently happened where he bumped into Kyle Kuzma. As Jovic does, he just seems to have like such a jovial, good-spirited way about himself. Didn't seem too down in the dumps about it, to be honest with you, which is one of the things you'll love about him. But it's tough not to feel like this is just another giant blow to a Heat team that is bad right now and really can't afford, to lose anybody of production note. Like they needed overtime to beat a Raptors team. They are playing their worst basketball of the season, and now you lose a guy in Nico who, you know, kind of provides, is not only the guy who kind of unlocks all of your mechanisms with your bigs, but you could stagger with him and Ware and Bam, and he can close with Bam, and, you know, he can facilitate, he can shoot a little bit, you know, every once in a while he'll get a hot streak going. Been playing, as Spo said today, he was playing with great force. I think that he's been getting better at taking advantage of size mismatches. I'm just bummed by it. I think anybody who knows this is like, Jovic, dude. Like that's, I don't even know how to put into words, as a man who's supposed to put things into words, how upset I am that this is. I imagine something that's going to keep him out for a while. I mean, Tyler Hero, they talked to him about it, and he didn't even know. Tyler was kind of, I guess, just in the zone of the game, and, Spo's been a little bit weird with his rotation, so I guess he didn't even realize that Nico was hurt. But, you can see the look over his face. He goes, well, you mean the same thing that happened to me? And, yeah, we can all remember Tyler Hero, ironically, in Milwaukee, diving for the loose ball, had this happen to him on the team that ended up going to the finals. So I don't know, man. I don't. I think that this is a really tough blow for Miami. Spo said afterwards, says, I feel for Nico. He's put a lot into this season. He said that he was a little bit shocked by the prognosis, but he says that he is not snake bit. And, he said that, we have, the depth for guys to step up. He mentioned Kyle Anderson and Jaime Jaquez Jr. And mind you, Jaime Jaquez has basically fallen out of the rotation. He did not mention Haywood Highsmith, who has also fallen out of the rotation of guys he's just not given anything to. The thing is, man, like, if it was last year's Jaime Jaquez and you were in a situation like this, I'd feel more confident, because that just is a guy who feels like he played at his own pace. He could play with a little speed, but then could slow things down. Certainly can be relentless on this. Maybe a position like this of being a sixth man who Spo could trust maybe is something that could do well. But I think one of the things, believe it or not, that you lose with Nico that I think Jaime's really struggled with this year is on defense. I feel like Nico, while Nico can make some boneheaded decisions and you're just like, you got to, look your head up and you're like, that's a 21-year-old. There's been other times I feel like he's really stood his ground well, and he's done a nice job. So it's not like you're losing a lockdown defender, but I do think you're talking about a guy that the coach trusts, that he'll close with. Probably would have closed tonight in a game like this, and I don't know if it goes different or not, but probably would have been in a position where he is that he's going to lean on Jovic. And with Jaime, he just feels from maybe this will be the opportunity that he could use if it truly is him. I got a feeling he's going to lean more into Kyle Anderson than go with Jaime. I mean, maybe if they need the burst offensively. And I think the questions are obviously out there about the tanking, and I think we can get into a bigger picture on that on another day, because I think it's a worthy discussion. Here's the thing: it's a worthy discussion, but it's also a useless discussion because of who the coach is and what the organization is. But at where the organization is, one of the things that I found frustrating this year was when it took so long to hit the button on Kel'el Ware, I was like, what are we doing this season? Like, what's the point of all of it? And so with the Kyle Anderson thing, it's like, hey, you bring him out there. Obviously, Spo has a need for savvy veterans. He needs guys he can trust who can know the game. And he values that. He valued it in Kyle Lowry. He values it in Kevin Love. So who he did not mention with the rotational things, and if he's gonna lean into Kevin, which is another option that he'll have for the games that he's there. But it's one of those things for me, and it's just tough losing a guy like Nico. I just think he's so unique. And I think that not having that is a bummer. I mean, you talk about how much trouble this Heat team has in playmaking, and he's one of those guys who's kind of like a natural guy to do that. So you lose that. Already they were bereft of guys who can make plays for other people without it being Tyler Hero. Jaime can do it a little bit. Like we've seen the elements of Jaime's game at his best. It's just he's not that guy. So like he's not been that guy this year. And I don't know what the step back's been. I don't know if it's been a physical thing, a mental thing, a game planning thing, a regression thing. I don't really know. If it was, again, if it was last year, a Jaime Jaquez Jr., you'd feel okay about this. But if you're asking the guy who Spo was just telling you 2 seconds ago, he goes, yeah, I don't want to play him anymore. Done. Rats on the ship. Okay. I mean, look, this is his opportunity right here. This is his chance these last, what do we got, 26 games, 27 games left for him to I guess, put a better ending or put a better final chapter on what's been a rough year for him. But it's one of those things where I don't think you realize how big it is in the moment, but it feels like this. I mean, look, you could lean into more minutes with Duncan Robinson too, certainly. I think Duncan is always one of the more underrated guys. Defensively, you could bring that with Haywood and give Haywood those minutes, and we'll see. But respectfully, none of them, I think, have the potential that Nico can have, and I just think it's a bummer. I think it's a huge blow to not have this guy. It's kind of like I feel the way I did when we found out about Duncan last year with the back thing. I'm like, well, Duncan was one of the best players on the team last year. And everybody just kind of like, yeah, but he's Duncan Robinson. It's like, no, Duncan was probably the third best player on the Heat last year with all the injuries that they had. And once he went out with that back injury, you're like, well, what are you going to do? You don't really have anybody to replace that. And it feels a little bit like that with this Nico thing. Not only because you don't really have a backup big. I mean, everybody's supposed listing there is what, 6'6"? You know, Haywood 6'4", Jaime 6'6". How tall is Kyle Anderson? Is he a little tall? Is he 6'8"? Okay, 6'8", 6'9". Cool. You know he's gonna lean into Kyle Anderson. Like Spo's like I could already see it in his eyes. Like he's leaning all in on Kyle Anderson. He's like, I'm going all in on slow-mo. And for Nico, if this is, I don't know if he's going to be back this year, but I can't imagine a broken hand. Let's just say it's back for the playoffs, right? Like we're at March, playoffs start in the middle of April. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose it, but let's say at least it takes him out to the regular season if this is something that's on his shooting hand and is going to be a bother. I thought that from his standpoint, physically grew a lot. He finishes the season averaging just under 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2.9 assists. Got a chance to start, then kind of found a comfort zone this year after a really tough start to the year. Found a comfort zone in being the sixth man. 37% from downtown, 45% from the field. And I thought just, I definitely think a guy who physically feels like he is going to be able to compete in this league. I think he found some comfort there. But you think about this, he had the back injury his rookie year. He had the broken ankle / fracture. He had the fracture / ankle sprain in the Olympics. So this is a guy who's had to go through it a little bit all before the age of 22 years old. And then you go into that critical, I don't know what they do with his extension. Do they feel like they could get a really good deal on him if they guarantee him some money in the offseason, if he's got that, or do they let him go into his fourth and final year? I'm not really sure. But I'm just bummed, man. As if my season couldn't get worse. Jovic is, just like you really could just shoot this season right into the sun, to be honest with you. Just shoot it right into the sun. It needs to be buried right next to the Luke Babbitt season. Like it is right there with the title defense. It is unfathomable how frustrating this year has been, and the mental wherewithal you have to have just to like go into each night being like, how are they going to blow it tonight? And then you add on top of it, rift with a star that was going to be the center of the drama of the NBA universe, basically up until Luka got traded. And then he got traded. And now on top of it, you lose one of your bright spots of the season. Like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay, dude. I'm not okay. I can't sit here and I'd like put on a brave face for you. Maybe you tankers are right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it right now with the tanking thing. But I do agree with anybody who thinks this season could be shot into the sun. If you wanted to put this into a bazooka, aim it towards the sun, and send this season straight to the sun, I would be all for that. Because this season has sucked. The results have sucked. The play has sucked. The drama's been exhausting. And now, one of the lone bright spots that I like to tune into every single night, it's like, you know what? I don't have a lot, but I have Jovic, dude. And now I don't have that. What do I have? What do I have? I have nothing. Just me and my thoughts. Get better, Nico. It sucks, man.